Hi everyone, in this video we will have a look at congruent triangles. So the term congruent means identical, and when we're writing proofs we can use the following two symbols. We could either use a squiggly line and an equal sign, or we could use three lines to determine the two shapes that we're looking at are congruent. For a triangle to be congruent, it has to be the same shape. So we can't have a triangle and a square. We can't compare them in terms of congruency. And they have to be the same size. So in terms of it being same size, we need three sides to be the same, and we need three angles to be the same in order to conclude that these triangles are congruent. However, each time measuring the sides and also measuring the angles is not convenient. So instead we have 5 sets of rules that we could use to test whether or not our triangles are congruent. The first rule is called the SSS Rule, which just means side, side, side. So if I have two triangles over here, I can say they're congruent if all three sides are the same. So all three sides are same. So let's say that's 10, so that has to be 10. Let's say that's 15, that has to be 15, that's 20, that has to be 20. So they have to be the same. The second rule we could use is called the SAS Rule, which means we have a side, we have an angle between them, and another side that are the same. So two sides and the angle between them are the same. Alright, so let's compare two triangles. So I have A over here. Let's have A over here. I could say that these two triangles are congruent because I have the side angle between and the other side that are the same. Now the third rule I could use to test whether or not my triangles are congruent is the ASA rule, which is angle, side, and angle. So I have two angles this time, and the side between them that I have to be the same. So let's have A, B over here. If I have A, B over here, the angle between them are the same. So the side between them are the same. Therefore, this is also congruent. So that's called the ASA. The fourth type of rule that I could use is called the AAS, meaning angle, angle, side. So I have two angles that are the same and one side that is the same. So A, B, let's call this side over here. I have A, B, and this side over here are the same. Now my last rule that I could use to test whether my two triangles are congruent is called the RHS, meaning I have a right angle, the hypotenuse, and the side are all the same. So right angle, hypotenuse, and side are the same. So if I have a look at an example, a right angle, I have a right angle, my hypotenuse, I'm going to label that H, and I have this side over here. Therefore, these two triangles are congruent. We have 5 rules to use because in each example we won't be given all the sides and all the angles. Therefore, depending on what we're given, we choose the appropriate method to test whether or not two triangles are congruent. let's have a look at this example. I have A, B, C. So over here I have 50 degrees, 15 millimeters on this side, and I have 95 degrees over here. Another triangle over here, that's 95 degrees, it's going to be Q. I have R, which is 50 degrees. I have P, and the side between them is 15 millimeters. So step one is to write down what has been given in terms of angles and sides. So I've been given angle 1 here, angle 2 here, and a side. Over here again I have angle 1, side over here, and that's angle 2. So it's important that angle 1s both correspond to 95 degrees, angle 2s correspond to 50, and the side corresponds to 15 millimeters. So I've labelled my angles and sides. So that's step 1. Step 2 is now to determine what rule I could use. Well, I have 2 angles and a side, which means I could use angle, angle, side. Now, having a quick glance, angle 1 and angle 1 in both triangles are 95. Angle 2s are 50 and the side is 15 millimeters. So I know that they're going to be congruent. But we need to prove this using correct terminology. So let's have a go. So first thing first, I'm going to start off by writing angle 1. Now angle 1 is 95 degrees. So I'm going to write that down. Angle 1 is 95 degrees. So if I have a look at angle 1 for triangle 1, that's between A, B, and C. So B is where 95 corresponds to, so it goes in the middle, is the same as 95 degrees, which is, if we have a look at the second triangle, that's PQR. Let's have a look at angle 2. Angle 2 is 50 degrees. So that's A for the first triangle. So that's going to be, angle is going to be between B, A, and C. Remember, A is where the angle corresponds to. So that's 50 degrees. And let's have a look at the second triangle. It corresponds to R. So we're going to have Q, R, and P. Let's have a look at our side. Our side is 15 millimeters. So for the first triangle, that's between A and C. That equals 15 millimeters, and that corresponds to R and P in the second triangle. So since all these are the same, we can say that the triangle A, B, and C is congruent to the triangle P, Q, and R. Let's have a look at another example. So, A, B, C, that's 30 degrees in here. It's 15 centimeters and that's 18 centimeters. Let's have a look at my second triangle. That's R, Q, P, 15 centimeters, 30 degrees and 18 centimeters. Again, I want to prove whether or not these triangles are congruent. So first thing first, I'm going to start by labeling my sides and my angles. So I have side 1 over here, 15. So I'm going to go to my second triangle and make sure 15 corresponds to side 1. Side 2 is 18, side 2 is 18, and angle is 30 degrees. So over here, I have 2 sides and the angle between them. So S1, A, and S2. Let's have a look. What do I have here? I have S1, A, S2. So I could use the side angle side rule to prove whether or not these triangles are congruent. Let's start off with side 1. Side 1 is 15 centimeters. Let's have a look at our first triangle. So that corresponds to AB, which is 15 centimeters. And let's have a look at our second triangle. That corresponds between P and R. Okay, so they're the same. So look at side 2. Side 2 is 18 centimeters, so that's between B and C. Now let's have a look at the second triangle. That's P and Q. And let's have a look at the angle between them. The angle between them, which I should have done up here, so I'll do it over here. The angle between them is, for the first triangle, it's between A, B, and C. So A, B, and C is 30 degrees. For the second triangle, that is between R, P, and Q, and that's also the same. So I can now conclude that the triangles A, B, and C are congruent. Remember, you could write congruent like this as well to P, R, and Q, or we could also write it with the squiggly line.